While it's true the family sedan market is shrinking, there are still some very good cars up for grabs. Here Driving takes a look at the top three, each of which is offered as both a hybrid and a regular gas model. The 10th generation Honda Accord has grown from something smaller than the current Civic to a mid-sized sedan with room for a family of 5. It's also grown to include most of the desirable safety equipment. Sadly, blind spot monitoring still requires moving up to the touring model, which is a myopic move. The good news is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard. As for size, the Accord accommodates 3 6-footers with ease, and it has a nice large 473-litre trunk. The Accord is powered by 2 potent turbocharged units. The base engine is a 1.5-litre Turbo 4 that makes 192 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque at 1600 RPM. It works with a CVT. The up-level 2-litre Turbo 4 is the better choice. It makes 252 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque at 1500 RPM, and it works with a better 10-speed automatic. The hybrid uses a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine and an electric motor to make a net output of 212 horsepower. While there is no torque number given, the electric motor's 232 pound-feet of torque from Rev 1, well, it'll put some real spring in the drive. The Accord's platform is stiff and light with less mass over the front wheels. This means it has a nimble feel to its drive. There is very little body roll and understeer is far enough out it's a non-issue. The nicely weighted steering setup then completes a pretty picture. The 8th generation Camry is offered in no less than 13 different models split into 2 lines. The L line keys on luxury, the S range is aimed at a younger clientele. It has a sport-tuned suspension, bucket seats and paddle shifters for the transmission. All are offered with a hybrid and an all-wheel drive derivative. Toyota's Safety Sense system is standard equipment and blind spot monitoring is on all models except the base. Perhaps the bigger news is now all work with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The cabin is roomy with ample rear seat space for 3 adults and a 428-litre trunk. The base 2.5-litre 4-cylinder makes 203 horsepower and is now offered with all-wheel drive. The V6, however, is the better choice. It pushes a rewarding 301 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque through an 8-speed automatic transmission. The hybrid produces 208 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque and delivers the better economy, around an average of 5 litres per 100 kilometres. Unlike Camrys of old, the current crop have a stiffer chassis and lower centre of gravity. The L line has excellent ride quality and steering feel. Shift to the sporty S side and the larger anti-roll bars and firmer damping deliver a drive that's much crisper. In the end, the Camry appeals to those who like to be pampered and to those who like to drive. Now, along with our top 3, there are 2 other models that are worthy of mention. The first is the Mazda 6. It offers a sportier drive than most. The second, the Subaru Legacy. In simple terms, it arrives with one of the best all-wheel drive systems on the market. The 2020 Sonata has been reworked. It now has a sharper look inside and out, and it comes with the latest technologies, including an available 12.3-inch gauge cluster to go along with the range-topping 10.25-inch infotainment screen that works with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also has a longer wheelbase which shifts the rear seat from tight to spacious. There is now enough room for a 6-footer to sit behind a 6-foot driver, along with a 453-litre trunk. All Sonatas now come with a full suite of safety equipment, including standard blind spot monitoring with rear cross-traffic alert. On the top model, it also includes an in-dash blind view monitor and a parking collision avoidance assistance with auto braking. While the base car arrives with a 2.5-litre 4 that pushes 191 horsepower, the 1.6-litre Turbo 4 is the smarter choice. It does have less horsepower at 180, but the torque jumps to 195 pound-feet at 1500 RPM. This puts much more spring in the Sonata's step. Both engines drive the front wheels through an 8-speed automatic transmission. The Sonata Hybrid uses a 2-litre 4 and an electric motor to produce 192 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. It works with a 6-speed automatic and paddle shifters just like the sporty 1.6 turbo. The ride and handling also takes a big step forward. The feel is firm without being uncomfortable. As such, it balances comfort with the ability to carve a corner with the best in the segment. So which of our top 3 do you pick? Well, quite frankly, it's personal preference because they are all roomy, they all do the family thing very well, they're comfortable, and yet they still handle very nicely. I'm Graham Fletcher for Driving.ca, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.